Today, I'm going to share with you 5 freight broker sales myths that are holding you back from success. All right. So, again, here are my notes. I'm going to cover the 5 myths and I'm going to debunk each myth. I'm going to give you my 2 cents and my debunking on each one of those myths. Okay. So, myth number 1 is cold calling is dead. And that is 100% wrong. But you have to understand something. Cold calling has evolved, okay? Which means you as a salesperson must evolve. Just like I had to evolve. I started sales back in 1992. 1992, sales was different than it is today, okay? And so technology has opened up opportunities where we can gather meaningful and relevant and contextual information about our prospects very easily, right? It's a thing called the internet and social media. You can gather sales intelligence, which is data that enhances your opportunity to get the sale, and you can leverage that to get your prospects' attention better, to build rapport better. Right? And so gathering sales intelligence is the next step in cold calling. I call it warm calling because now it's not truly a cold call with just a name and a phone number and you smile and dial and hope you can make magic happen or hit perfect timing. It's really about being contextual and relevant and getting their attention by gathering sales intelligence. Okay. So cold calling is dead. That is debunked. I promise you, you can get shippers cold calling. Now, it's not my favorite way to do it. You guys all know I prefer to use LinkedIn and social selling, and I use a hybrid. I use a multi-channel outreach approach, which is a big part of what I teach in my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. And again, for those of you that are looking for information on the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, you can check that out. You can get all the details, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. If it's closed, it will redirect you to a wait list. Don't worry. Okay. All right. So freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. Number 2 myth. You need to make 200 plus cold calls a day to get shippers. All right. That's 100% wrong. Okay. And let me explain to you why and why I feel that way. All right. If you've been trained with the proper sales tools and systems and skills, right, you don't need to make up mass numbers. All right. You can get away with doing 30, 40, maybe 50 calls a day and still get shippers every single week as a broker if you have the proper skills, the proper training, the proper system. All right. That's the reason why I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, because this is where everybody struggled, right? So you don't have to do high volume 200 phone calls a day in order to get shippers, but you do need to have a dedicated, concentrated effort on sales outreach. Again, whether that's coming by phone or face-to-face or email or LinkedIn or a combination of all of those, which is what I recommend and teach. Okay. So I hope that helps. That's number 2. Number 3, shippers only do business with asset-based brokers. Wrong, guys. It's wrong. The fact is, the top brokers in the world, they don't own trucks. They don't have owner operators. They're brokers. That's what they do. That's where they make their money. They're non-asset based freight brokers, right? You do not have to have assets. You do not have to have trucks. Now, I know why people say this. They say this because it's an excuse. And it's an excuse of why they can't get shippers as a freight broker. See, the fact is, what they lack in skills and what they lack in a proven winning system, they push off on some fantasy excuse, right? Some fantasy objection. And the reality is, it's not that the shipper doesn't want to do business with brokers. They just don't want to do business with you. Okay? Now, don't take that personal. But I'm sorry, not sorry. The fact is, if you don't have the proper skills and the proper system, then nobody wants to do business with you, whether you're a broker or assets or asset-based or a combo or whatever the hell you want to call yourself. Okay. Number 4, you have to have the cheapest rate in order to get loads from shippers. Wrong. Here's why I know. Number 1, I was rarely, if ever, the cheapest. Okay. And I built an $80 million brokerage. I know tons of other brokers, large and small, and they take pride in not being the cheapest. Again, this is another excuse that people use to try to make them feel better about the fact that they're getting rejected, right? You do not have to be the cheapest. Being the Walmart of freight brokers is not the secret to success. I promise you. There are shippers out there that are exclusively price driven, and I get it. But in my opinion, they're the minority, not the majority. Most shippers are focused on value. Now, value is a combination of service, trust, relationship, rapport, and price, of course, which I think I probably already said. That's the combination that they're looking for. They're not exclusively looking for price. It's not price that is your biggest objection. It's typically trust. Number 5, there's an old saying in sales from back in the 80s, ABC, always be closing. And that in today's age is one of the dumbest mantras that salespeople can have. Whether you're a freight broker, you're in real estate, you're in insurance, I don't care what you're doing, always be closing is very 1980s. It originated from a movie in the 80s called Glenn Ross. It's a funny ass movie and it has a star cast, tons of great actors. But what I want you to understand is Alec Baldwin is giving a sales meeting to his real estate group in this movie. And he goes up on the board and he writes,
A, always be B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
And, the fact is, again, that's very 1980s. I'm not sure it even worked back then, but it definitely does not work today. Being an over pushy salesperson will get you absolutely nowhere, right? And so the fact is, today with technology, buyers have more access to information and products and services, including your competitors, than ever before. So it's easy for a buyer to just tell you to go fly a kite. So ABC is not the key. If you want to switch that paradigm, what you have to focus on is you have to focus on what I call ABG, always be giving, right? Giving solutions, giving information, giving rapport, right? Giving answers. Focus on being the person who gives and not asks for, right? Those are the 5, but I'm going to give you a bonus tip. All right. Stick around here. I'm going to give you a bonus tip really quick. And this is one that is near and dear to my heart. Here's why. A lot of people will say, you have to be an extrovert in order to be good in sales. Wrong. Here's how I know. Number 1, I'm not an extrovert. You might find that hard to believe. Just because I do these videos, I promise you I'm an extrovert. Ask my wife. I'm not the life of the party. I like alone time. I go to movies by myself, right? Parties exhaust me, right? So I'm not an extrovert. I've never been an extrovert. A lot of my best students and success stories that you've heard from and ones you haven't heard from are introverts. The reason why introverts can do very, very well in sales, if they have the right skills and the right system, is this. Extroverts have a tendency to talk too much, right? They talk, they want to be the center of attention, they like to talk. And so it's really one way. Now, introverts talk less, but listen more. They have a tendency to listen. They have a tendency to be better listeners. And the key to sales is not being a extroverted, fast-talking, charismatic speaker. The secret in sales is actually talking just enough to understand your prospects' issues and then listening so you fully understand their challenges and issues so you can provide a valuable and relevant solution. Okay? So those are the 6 myths, the freight broker myths that are holding you back. All right? Now, here's the thing, guys. If you want me to be your freight broker sales coach, you got to go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. Now, if you are interested in becoming a freight broker and you're just starting to connect the dots and you're not quite a broker, you're not an agent, you're just kind of getting up and running, or you're interested in getting up and running, you're going to want to check out my Freight Broker Bootcamp, which is my startup program. You can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, I've trained over 10,000 students. I've personally done over $200 million as a freight broker, and I offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee on my bootcamp product. So you can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.